All right. Good afternoon, brother. How's it going?
Pretty good. It's all right. We had a good meal today, so I feel better. And
We always feel better after a good meal, right? So,
oh yeah, yeah, very good.
yeah, good food, good company.
Good
What could go
times.
wrong, right?
Talk about conspiracy stuff during lunches
Hey,
and
easy
stuff.
now.
Yeah,
I'm not a conspiratorial person. You always
yeah,
you
yeah.
always wrap me up in
Yeah.
that stuff. All right.
We're talking about sustainability and climate change, and we know this is very important topics for the higher education. In high school and universities, and they're really teaching this. They're hitting this hard. Like for our kids to really learn this. In fact, I remember doing a summer camp for the kids, and we really hit those subjects hard for them. We really
Yeah.
taught them like about biofuels and climate change and all those things to them. We wanted them to know it really well. And in college, I took a course on that too. So it was a very well laid out course. It was very scientific, and it kind of convinced. That's where a lot of my convincing about climate change is real was from that kind of science course,
Yeah,
that I took.
that's right. No, that there's, I would say, and you've gone to school more recently than I have, and you've actually taught in the schools pretty recently. I used to teach in the community college as well, but that was a long time ago. But I would say now, most colleges are very big into educating the students about climate change, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you hit a hot topic for me. You pushed a button I have. You know, so when we just were talking a little while ago about 15-minute cities and the town center concepts where everybody kind of lives where the resources are available for them to live, so where they don't have to go very far to get the things they need, right?
Hmm.
That's a great concept. Don't you think the colleges should do the same thing? Should they set the example? Let's talk about sports, all right? All right.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
sports.
so when you think about conferences, okay, so we're in the Pac-12 conference, okay? That's where well, as of today. And there's conferences all around, there's the WAC, and there's the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC, there's ACC, there's all these conferences, and originally they were all based on region, okay? So if you're in the Pac-12, then you're on the West. You're in the West Coast mainly, okay? You're in the WAC, you're in the Western Athletic Conference, you're in the West, If you're the ACC, you're the Atlantic Coast Conference. You're on the Atlantic Coast, okay? That's that region, right? And et cetera, okay? So, and that was good because you would play the teams in your region. You wouldn't have to travel very far. So that's a good concept. That's kind of like, it's not the 15-minute concept, but it's, maybe it's the, it's still the concept of a sort of a locally run establishment where you don't travel too far to be competitive with the sport needs that you have. And then if you need to play other more competitive teams, well, you make these arrangements like, oh, we'll have a series between UCLA and Texas or something, because they're two big, football teams, right? So you have a series where you play that because, hey, you want to see these teams play once in a while, not just only locally. But so that to me, I think is a smart thing to do to set an example of let's limit our resources and yet give our students opportunity to play sports. What have they done recently? Have you heard what's happening with like UCLA and USC?
Yeah, they're all going to move to different conferences. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that okay? So that really bothers me, and it's not just moving to different conferences. It's moving to conferences that are way across the country. Okay,
Yeah.
so UCLA. I'll make sure I get this right. So UCLA and USC and Washington and Oregon, they're all really good teams. I mean, they're all very, very competitive teams. Oregon in football and, especially, and there's a lot of great teams. They're all moving to the Big Ten, okay? The Big Ten. Now, the Big Ten, you have colleges like Rutgers, you have Maryland, Pennsylvania, you have to go to Pennsylvania, Purdue. Anyway, so you're gonna make these students that used to play Cal and Stanford and Washington State and Arizona and all these West Coast teams, basically. Now you're going to make them travel from California to Maryland. I mean, that's about as far apart as you can get in the country to play. Now, to me, that's not conserving resources. That's wasting resources. Okay.
And then you have separate men and women's teams, and then you have about more than 20 different sports. So,
I looked up. NCAA has 24 sports and then you have men and women's sports, and you're talking about thousands of students now, thousands and thousands of students have to travel 5, 10 times farther than they used to travel. Okay, and they can't get there on one hop. They're going to have to go multiple hops to get to some of these places, and it's going to take them a long time. Well, let's not worry about their test the next day that they got to take. They're going to go play in Maryland, right? So, and then Maryland's got to come here, and so, let's not worry about their education. Let's not worry about global warming and the resources they're going to burn traveling all these places. Oh, well, why did you think they did it? Because what do you think the reason is that they're doing this? Because of better sports opportunities?
Well, I think they want to be in more competitive conferences. So, like, if they have a bias towards, I have a better football team, well, I'm going to try to be in a conference where it's more competitive. If I win in that conference, I'll get more recognition. Things like that. Where I have a better basketball team, so I'm going to go to like a conference that has.
Okay, well, I can buy that, semi-buy it. However, the Pac-12 is a conference that's very competitive already. Okay, which conference has won the most national championships in the USA?
The Big Ten.
No,
yes.
The Pac-12.
No, that's the big. Oh yeah,
you're talking about
right.
you're talking about
no, you're talking about all sports.
I'm talking about all sports.
Yeah,
okay.
all sports. Yeah, you're right.
Because you can't just think about basketball and football, right?
Yeah.
Those are 2 out of 24.
Yeah.
Okay. There's baseball. There's all kinds of things, right? Yeah. Certain conferences like the SEC has won the most football championships. For basketball, it might be the Big Ten. Okay. So there's things like there's pockets where they win. But the Pac-12 has won their share of those as well. Not the most. But I mean, when you talk about all sports, by far they have the most national championships. So if you're talking about competitiveness for sports, you would want to go to the Pac-12, not leave it. Okay, so that to me, I buy half of that argument only. If you're in a sport like basketball or something. So, but to make all 24 sports travel all across the country, to me is a really big waste. Okay, I'm not buying it's going to be competitive more argument. I'm not buying it. Okay.
Well, then what is it then if it's not competitive?
It's the old mighty dollar is what it is. Okay. I was talking to somebody who may know a little bit about this. So I'm big into sports. I said, well, it had to do with a media deal for the Pac-12. Okay, that was all it was. UCLA, USC didn't like the media deal, the money they were going to make on the Pac-12. So they said, hey, it's the Big Ten, and offered them, hey, come on over, us, we'll. And so they had a better media deal. They're going to make more money. It has to do with football mainly, because football is the big money sport, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, forget all the people that play tennis and soccer and lacrosse and hockey. I mean, forget about those guys. Oh, all we care about is football because it makes a lot of money. To me, what's that telling me? What's that telling me, brother? What that's telling me, I'm glad you asked, is that they care more about money than they do about climate change. Really, to me, that's what they're saying. So I don't think that the colleges I don't think they're practicing what they're preaching. I think they're hypocrites if they're doing that.
Why that? I mean, I say in the universities and colleges, we spend a lot of money in research just to be able to try to solve the climate change problem. And there's millions of dollars going into it. Not only determining that we are having climate change problem, but all the different things like making sustainable materials, just a lot of different solutions that we're doing to solve climate change,
Yeah, so I mean, okay, I understand. Okay, they want to have a better money deal. That's fine, and they want it, but don't tell me that it's not it's not about the money. It's about competitive sports. I think it's if they got a good money deal in the Pac-12, they would have stayed. Now, Arizona State aren't any better. They're going to go to the Big 12. So in 2024. So they're same thing. We're in the Pac-12 right now, but they don't feel like they're getting their due either. So they're not going to the Big 10. They're going to the Big 12. That's just as bad. They got to go all the way to places like Florida to play. That's traveling way out. So it's almost as bad. So you're spreading, from coast to coast, some of these cities, some of these sports, and now you're, basically wasting resources again. So I'm not sure that to me is saying, is climate change the existential number one threat that we face? Well, they're not telling me that it is because they're not acting like it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I think that was a good session. Both of us got to air some air some grievances. So that
Yeah.
that's good. All right, so I guess we'll sign off now. We're the Climate Change Brothers, talking about agriculture and energy and all things about
Related to climate change.
related to climate change, even
Yeah.
sports sometimes. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right.